Hi, folks. Something a little different tonight. I'm going to be appearing in the Shine Festival or seminar in the southwest of England later on in the summer. And I'm delighted tonight to have Eli, who's the big boss behind the whole thing, here to tell me all about it and tell you guys about it and why I went for this festival. I don't do many festivals anymore, and I think you want to come to it too, because I think what Eli is sharing with the Shine Festival, Shine Seminars, is very important. So lovely to meet you, Eli. I hope you're keeping well.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas, for coming here and connecting with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everything you do. I love your show, and I actually listen to it when I'm doing my gardening.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, I never heard of the Shine Seminar Festival until you sent me the request to ask to come to it. And I looked up the guests, and I was actually quite impressed by the people you pulled in there over the years. It was Maria Wheatley, our mutual friend, who sold me on it, and she said, no, you'll really enjoy it. So, and she's going to be speaking the same day as me. So just tell people about the history of the festival.
Okay, so it came from an idea actually from a woman called Karen Dodd, who is the network freedom coordinator. She's the founder of this decentralized freedom network in the UK. And she was doing an event, and she said, you know what, Eli, you should do an event. And her event's called the Uprise and Shine. And she was much more kind of political. She was much more kind of disseminating some of the controls, the systems of controls, and the kind of the tyranny, etc. And I, at that time, I think it was like May 2021, and we were, we've been in lockdown for like over a year, and I just kind of had enough of talking about the tyranny, talking about their story, talking about their BS. And I was just like, I want to do an event that's just for us, for the people, for one day, get some people along. And then I asked Clive de Carl, funnily enough. I said, Clive, do you want to do this? He said, yeah, I'd love to do it. I said, talk about the powers of the healing, of self-healing in your body, and the hidden knowledge that we can look after ourselves without any medical intervention. Trauma, obviously you have to do that. But I asked Clive, I asked the Bards of Avalon, who are two beautiful people who do sound therapy, frequency work. They do water consciousness. They hold ceremonies in blessing of the water on the land. Absolutely amazing. Michael Tingle, who does Qigong, and he also does Celtic. I say Celtic. I don't like using the word Celtic, actually. Gaelic.
Nobody knows actually what Celtic is, but that's okay. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I did find out. I was reading a book about the Hyperboreans, funnily enough, and it's interesting because I think the word Celtic means foreigner.
Yeah, outsider. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Michael actually is a beautiful. He does beautiful drawings of Celtic symbolism, and I invited him along as well. He's a beautiful guy. He obviously does the qigong as well. And it just, that day was fantastic. I had Carly Spell, who does etymology of legalese. So she breaks down Black's law, which is fantastic. She teaches us about the control systems of our language and how they get us to acquiesce in power by us using their language, which is really powerful. And I had David Edelman, who's the people's lawyer, who talks about the power of the question. He wrote a book called School, No Place for Children. And he talks about how schools are kind of, I'm not going to say prisons, but they're certainly mind prisons.
Oh, they are. They're mind control camps.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's David's work. And so for the day, 55ers, I sold 55 tickets in 10 days. It all came together. I couldn't find any venue because it was in the middle of lockdown. And it was the day after lockdown that I actually got it together. Incredible people came along. The energy was electric. I got up. I actually talked about pineal activation and the chrism oil, which was nuts. I came up on stage and I just said, I'm one of you guys. I sat down in the audience. I said, what are we going to talk about? Everybody was laughing and joking. It's like, who is this guy? And I said, look, I'm just representing the team here. I want to attract people who are kind of just want to be out of the tyranny, want to express themselves, want to be able to talk to each other, not be in isolation, talk truth, talk freedom, and just are coming together and creating a community. So we've done a shed load of those gigs now. We've done them in Avebury. I concentrate in the southwest. I've done Glastonbury. We actually did a gig in our house that's owned by the Moonies, which is weird. And Virginia Woolf used to live there. And I tend to look at people, self-empowerment, sovereignty, know thyself, getting into the power that is hidden within yourself, and sovereignty, health and well-being. I have a lot of kind of healers and practitioners who come to my events. It's all holistic. A lot of it's kind of, frequency work, energy work. I feel that sound is going to be a huge healer in the future. And we're remembering all this stuff. And then the last part is kind of spiritual practice, which is, it's a personal thing, but I bring people in to talk about qigong, talk about meditation, talk about the power of prayer and things like that. So, it's a very empowering event. And the 4-day event we've got in the summer this year, we've got 48 speakers. And I did say this to my good lady the other day, and I genuinely say this without any ego. I said that I must be doing something right, because I've got all these amazing people to come to this gig. And
Yeah.
I'm very humble in what I'm doing. I'm just holding space. I put the call out, and people come or they don't come. So
yeah, I was very impressed with the lineup when I saw the poster. Why don't you tell everybody who's going to be there over the weekend, other than
sure.
me?
Yeah, well, you know what, Thomas, it's great to have you there, because your energy is very important at the moment in terms of where you are, what you're doing, and I always say that the speakers have got the the kind of beyond the curve, leading edge thought. And a lot of my speakers say to me, "What do you want me to talk about?" And I was like, "You talk about what you're thinking about now." That's the key thing. But we've got Laura Eisenhower's going to be there. She's coming over from America again. Her talk is just ridiculously mind-blowing. She's got obviously she's the great granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, and she's been kind of her story is fantastic. We've got Maria Wheatley's going to be there, who's a dowser, second generation dowser. She's very, very unique space, Maria. And obviously her father was a very well-known dowser. We've got Chloe Goodchild, who's been doing vocal work, empowerment through voice work for ages, for 40 years. And actually, she's the only person I know who can actually get an audience singing within 20 minutes. Anybody can sing. Everybody sings. It's very empowering. The whole lineup it's very difficult, because when we do the 1-day event, we have 5 speakers. And what I've decided this year is we're going to have 4 speakers each day. And they're going to be an hour and a half, and there'll be Q&As. It might be an hour talk, a half an hour break, or 45-minute talk, 45-minute question and answer. It's for the speakers to hold that space. But I really want people to talk amongst themselves. And what we found last year is the campfire conversations were electric. People were connecting and joining the dots on amazing levels. The speakers were the catalysts for those conversations. And so they were a point in time. They are the wisdom keepers. Everybody there is a wisdom keeper. They've all got their keys and codes to bring to the gig. It's important to be able to give the audience, the attendees, space around the speakers to be able to integrate and assimilate that information. So we've got Emma Fitchett, who does plant consciousness. She does natural esoteric wisdom. She basically does ceremonies with plants, and she's incredible. She's astrologer as well. We've actually got 3 people doing plant consciousness. We've got Juliet Bryant, who's doing plant consciousness. We've got Kelly Marie Kerr, who is doing incredible work, and all she does is talk about pineal activations. And that's all she does. And I'm very grateful for her to come along, because what she's doing is she's she's teaching us or making that connection to our divine technology that we've got inside us, to do with you know, the pituitary gland, the all those wonderful things, all the gold and silver connections and the sacred secretion. And we've got 3 people who actually do that. We've got Mark Keane, who does Kundalini yoga, but he also does Kundalini clubbing. And all he does is really, he's embodying the idea that everybody can do this work. And I think it's one of the biggest kind of secrets, in inverted commas, that we can do all this inner work, and we can become more expansive and connected to our environment. And we've got a woman called Summer Connor who is actually going to start working on a nuanced level with people to try and do those activations. So we've got those 3 people. We've got Mark Devlin's going to be there. He's going to do sound frequencies, you know, the 440 to 432 hertz conversations. B and David are going to be there. They're going to talk about creating conscious communities, because I don't know whether you know, Thomas, but in the freedom community, there's a lot of infighting. And you know, people are trying to yeah, trying to create communities, and they're just smashing each other's heads to pieces before they've been walking through the door. So we're gonna try, in inverted commas, try and kind of just open up that conversation about how we can live together. You know,
or ignore each other.
yes. Well, that's yes. Well, I mean, I've lived in 3 communities, and 2 of them died. I mean, absolutely died. And the only reason the other one was successful is it was actually a Krishna community. When I was 19, I was there. And if you've got one thing to concentrate on and all you're doing is eating and meditating, what can you do? I mean, there's nothing to do except eat and meditate. It's like...
You've also got a couple of big names, Richard Vobes and Chris Trout.
Yeah, I mean, well, Richard's really interesting character because he came last year and he did some podcasts. He's got a very unique space within what we're doing, because he's got 200,000 subscribers on his channel now. I've got so much time for Richard, and what I find is so refreshing about Richard is he's got an innocence about him and a discernment whereby he will interview lots and lots and lots of people. There's no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. He'll go, yeah, I'll give you a platform. You've got a story, I'll give you a platform. So I love the way that Richard's doing that, and he's super important for dissemination of a huge amount of information.
Yeah, I found that about him too. I've never spoken to the man, but watching his videos and stuff, there's a very real human quality there.
Yeah, he comes from the circus.
Old-fashioned human quality.
Yeah, he comes from the circus. If you meet him, he's amazing. I mean, we were in the cafe last year, and he just got this chair and just threw it up in the air, caught it, and put it on his chin, and just started balancing on his chin.
Wow.
You know, and I can juggle, right? And I was juggling in my kind of like, you know, old kind of, I haven't juggled for 5 years, and he just went bang, 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 bang. You know, it was like amazing. And he's great fun. He's very light. He's got great energy, great spirit. So Richard Vove's amazing. Chris Frowell, what a journey that man is on. I mean, Chris is like, for me, he's obviously ex-Marine, but he embodies, this is literally a warrior spirit. I mean, he's literally a warrior spirit. But he's rowing over the Atlantic. Yay. Oh, what shall I do tomorrow? I'll row over the Atlantic. Come on, you know. I mean, that's Chris, and he's got a lot of spiritual practice, which I find really great. He's really, you know, bringing things to the table to his community that they might not have experienced before or heard about. And I think that moving of the Overton window within the community is a really important thing. So, yeah, we've got you know, we've got Darren Giogi's going to be there, and Darren's absolutely fantastic. He does a lot of divine masculinity work. He does a lot of, I mean, his sound work is fantastic. You know, he does native intelligence, and it's really funny actually. I got a bit of we always have a running joke, me and Darren, because he comes on stage and he says, Eli's asked me to do this, but actually I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to do this. It's just like, you know,
So that's the lineup, and there's even more than that. Again, people will see if they go to the website and look at a poster.
Yeah.
Give people details, logistics, as to facilities, how to get their location, kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's the 2nd to the 5th. It's 4 days. There's 12 speakers. It's August.
August, okay.
2nd to the 4th of August, 2nd to the 5th of August, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's camping on site. It's actually on site. It's a beautiful little festival site, even though we don't call it a festival. It is a festival site. I hire the whole thing. It's all set up and ready to go. We've got a beautiful cafeteria. We're going to have all organic, locally produced food. We've got an incredible chef, Faith, who is our chef. There's saunas there. The capacity of the actual event is only 300, 350. So it's small and intimate. It's about 20 minutes from Gloucester. It's just on the edge of the Forest of Dean by St Anthony's Well, which is a beautiful spring just up the road. It's 45 minutes from Bristol, 45 minutes from Cardiff. It's right there in the Forest of Dean. And
what would be the nearest, like if you're coming from Ireland, the nearest big airport? Birmingham?
You might be able to fly, well, Bristol, Cardiff, and Birmingham's not that far. Birmingham's about an hour and a bit.
I know there's a train from Birmingham to Gloucester because I've taken it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually, I mean, you can get a bus from Gloucester and it will take you to the petrol station at the top of the road. But it's another 1.5 miles to site, so you've got to walk all the way down to site. So yeah, we've got a healers field, so we're going to have a whole bunch of people there doing that. We've got a peace garden where people can go and just chill out and relax. We've got workshop spaces.
What about folks that are driving? Will there be parking?
The site is, yeah, there's loads of parking there. I mean, the car parking is fantastic. The campsite's fantastic. We do limit the tickets. I really want, 250, 300. I don't want any more than that. I don't want it to be a big thing. Yeah, we've got workshop spaces where some of the speakers will be doing workshop stuff. There's a kids tent, children's tent. So there'll be some activities there for the children. So yeah, it's a great site, and there's, I'm very grateful for the people to rent me out that space, because Sundara is on the week before, which is kind of like an ashram. So by the time we get there, the land is very cleansed because there's just been loads of drumming and chanting for 10 days. And then the week after, there's Rainbow Festival, which is kind of like a real mishmash of old school kind of hippies and anarcho-punk people. And there's a lot of real mixed energy there, but it's a great tribal thing, Rainbow. And we sit in the middle. So there's 3 events on the same site. And, I'm just very grateful to be able to put it on there. It
looks like a lovely location. It's handy too. I know loads of people now in that part of England anyway. So you could and people coming from Ireland could probably come on the ferry through Pembroke. I was actually thinking of doing that myself, through the south of Wales and around that way. There's another way of doing it, through that way.
Does that go to St David's?
The ferry goes from Rosslare to Pembroke, and then you can go drive along the south of Wales.
Yeah.
Come around there with the Severn Valley that way, right?
Yeah.
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 So it's easy to get to, really, from anywhere.
It's really, really easy. I mean, it's the M4, M5, or down the M5. It is really, really easy. It's not as central in England, but in terms of the network, it's very, very easy. From the motorway on the M5, I think it's about 25 minutes.
That's nothing.
I mean, one of the people I was going to mention, just as an aside, is we've got Rachel coming from Rachel Only Love, who's doing great work in Derbyshire, and she's actually running for the East Midlands mayor, and she's doing absolutely fantastic work there. And we've got Dr. Joe Delaney as well, who's does a lot of work with dragon energy. I'm so grateful for the speakers for turning up. And interestingly enough, I was in Glastonbury last week, and we've got the head gardener from the Chalice Well in Glastonbury come in, and he is off the chart in terms of connecting to plants you know, the natural environment, trees and stuff. And just as a little story, I'll tell you this. I went there last week, and he said to me, he's only been there about a year, and he said, I've just connected the whole of the house, the Chalice Well house, the meeting house, and the toilets to the spring water. And he said, I've put a sand filter, so because there's a lot of iron in the water from the Red Spring. And he said, if you go into the toilets, you flush the toilets, and it's with the spring water from the Chalice Well.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and you can actually drink the water from the basin in the toilet, but the whole of the house is connected up to the water, and it goes through this sand filter. He is an incredibly nuanced, you know, the detail in his work is phenomenal. So
Creative.
yeah, we really have got some absolutely phenomenal people coming. And I need to mention the entertainment that we've got, because last year a lot of people were like, well, you know, there's not much to do on an evening, and it was a skeleton gig last year. You know, we got it up and running. You know, it's a not-for-profit thing. I think we just about broke even, which is perfect in its first year. But this year, you know, we've got the Antler Band, who Ceilidh Band. So on the Friday we're going to have a Ceilidh, which will be fantastic. Yeah, and we've got a guy called Ricky Barr, who plays, I think it's, you probably, well, you'll know more than this than me. Yeah, I think he plays a 10-string mandolin. But he plays Irish music.
Yeah, that's how Irish music was traditionally played on the mandolin before they moved on to other instruments. Yeah, it's beautiful, actually.
Yeah, so we've got Ricky Barr doing that, supporting the Ceilidh Band, and on the Saturday we've got Janie Tremaine, who's a singer-songwriter, and then we've got the Perpetual Choirs, who do a thing called Peace on Our Plate, and they do peace. They've got an album out called Unity, which is all about coming together. And then on the Sunday, we've got Mobius Loop, who are like quite a big festival band. I mean, if we get 250 people, that's going to be the most intimate gig they do, besides busking in Shepton Mallet, say, you know, because those guys will just turn up and play. But we've got Mobius Loop on the Sunday, which is in itself an absolute highlight. And on the Monday, to round the weekend off, we've got a beautiful singer called Laura Jenkins, who's very magnetic, fantastic songs. And then she's coming on just before Carrie Tree, and Carrie is a beautiful, beautiful singer. I think she's probably got Irish roots, but she really, I mean, I have listened to Carrie for a few years, and she's got the most soulful, wonderful voice, but she's also an incredible storyteller. Her stories are absolutely beautiful. So not only have we got all this inspirational stuff during the day, but I'm actually going to entertain people on the evening as well. You know,
It's something for everybody.
yeah.
Now, before we close up, because we're running out of time here, how did people get tickets, that kind of thing? How did people book for it?
Yeah, so everything's on the website, which is theshineseminars.org. That's theshineseminars.org. And you can look at all the information. Most of the information is on there now. The workshops aren't yet, but all the information is on there now. A few bits and pieces from last year. And then at the top, it just says, buy your tickets here. You can go through and buy on the booking form. We've actually got a conscious booking company, believe it or not. They're called Workshop Angels, and they charge us no money, which is fantastic, Thomas, because, you know, the big corporates, right, are just...
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. I'm looking at doing gigs here in Ireland, and the same thing. It's true, kind of like that kind of thing, to avoid the money men, you know.
Yeah, they
start paying VAT and things like that, you know.
Well, it is a little bit of a plug, because they're based in Totnes, but they charge us 3.5%, and 1.5 of that goes to Stripe, and they're lovely people. So you know, that the book, everything's on the booking form there. The prices are basically £65 a day, like for each day. If you want to eat, it's £22 for the food for the whole day, and we're very generous with our food, and we have nuts and fruits and treats and bottles of water and all sorts of stuff, you know. And then the camping's £12.50 if you want to stay over. There's at the moment we've got super early bird prices, which is I think £269 for the 4 days, and that's everything.
That's very good. Yeah.
That's everything. So like I say, we're not in it for the money. We want as many people to come as possible. I think 4 days in the southwest of England with all your food and camping for 269, and all that is as good as it gets, really. So
yeah, you'd never get a regular holiday for that for the 4 days, and you're throwing in all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's got its own energy, and I'm just very grateful, like I say, for people agreeing to do it, and hopefully people will come and join in. And it is about getting us ready for this, what can I say, this tribulation that we're in, this challenging times. It is about getting us,
When you said there about the booking thing, I was thinking the whole idea of the parallel society, and that's what you're creating there. A parallel society outside, because I really do think, well, this is the future. It's like jump in, not become like dropouts, but jump into a secondary lane that runs along with this one, but keeps us safe from the bullshit on that side.
It's interesting because I don't know whether you ever read Havel's stuff, the Czechoslovakian guy.
Yeah.
But he said that under communism, what happens is that people get programmed, and it's very hard at the beginning, and then what happens is there's a bifurcation. So there are those people who are absolutely awake to the tyranny, and then there are those people who are just in the programming, and there's only one way, and that is going from the program people to the awake people. That nobody goes into tyranny,
that's exactly where we are now.
Yeah.
So we're living in that world now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, you're absolutely right. We're creating it's a node of consciousness, and we're building something for us. It's for us, and the people that are coming along. A lot of these people have been doing a lot of this work kind of in the alternative community for years and years and years. I don't call it the alternative community anymore, because I believe we are the real community, and it's doing us a disservice by calling us the alternative. We're not the alternative.
Like here in Ireland, we have the alt scene has replaced the mainstream media. Absolutely. We are the ones who are getting all the interest now. So it's like, we should think of ourselves as it now. We are the center point.
Yeah, 100%. And it's very obvious from the people who are drawn to the event that we're not in the fear. There's no fear with us. We're very emboldened with the challenge ahead of us, and we're very excited because actually we're free from all this nonsense, and like I say, the conversations around the campfire are just absolutely magical.
That sounds like the best part. And the fact that we survived the lockdowns and all that nonsense shows that we are kind of like the trailblazers, I'd say, going forward.
Well,
So we thanks. That's brilliant. Thanks very much for that. And I'll see you in August, and I will put a banner up on top of the seminar on the website down below, and link in the comments and in the description box to get tickets. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time, Thomas. Thank you for taking the time to. You're the first person who's ever interviewed me, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, you did all right then.
Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.
Okay, and I'll see everybody. I'll see Eli and all the rest of you over there soon. Okay.
Cheers. Thanks, Thomas.